Hi, and welcome to our webisode series, if you don't mind me asking, where we probe and get a little bit nosy about the lives of disabled individuals and their lived experiences. My name is Dan Cady, and I'm with Lucy Ruck, my co-host. We both work for the Business Disability Forum.
And we are absolutely delighted today to be joined by Samantha Renke. But rather than listening to us chatting and introducing this, we're going to get on with things as we've got a lot to cover. And I know Samantha likes to talk even more than we probably do. Yeah.
My favourite pastime, I tell you. I don't have any core skills. I'm not very good at singing or maths or playing musical instruments, but by gosh, I can talk someone's ear off. So there you go.
Fantastic. Well, that's exactly what we want on this. So Samantha, tell us a bit about yourself, who you are and what you do for those that don't already know of the amazing Samantha Renke.
Oh, absolutely. And if they don't, how dare they? No, I'm joking. Yes, so I suppose I wear many hats. I've got many strings to my bow. I'm a Lancashire lass, born in Germany, but don't judge me too harshly on that one. I'm currently living in London. I made the move to London about 10 years ago now, which seems crazy, to be honest. It's gone by in a heartbeat. But I suppose I'm best known for my appearances on television. I was one of the stars of the very well-known chocolate commercial, Maltesers commercial. But obviously, I was active on the acting scene way before that, and part of the activism scene in the respect of I've been affiliated with a number of charities, Scope being the one I suppose a lot of people will associate me with. But yeah, I've got many different hats. I call myself the Del Boy of the disability world because I like to have many fingers in different pies. So I've got a podcast. I'm a broadcaster. I'm a writer. I write for the Metro and Possibility magazine, which is obviously a leading disability magazine. I do my campaign work. I've got a production company, Born This Way Media, and drum roll please, I currently have a book out, my first book. I've written a book, my first memoir, called so this is one of the moments where, again, when I say it, it doesn't actually feel real. So my book is called oh my god, what my book is called. See, I told you I was not on full form today. My goodness, this is because it doesn't feel real at all. No, my book is called "You Are the Best Thing Since Sliced Bread," and it is a kind of a project that I've been working with Fearne Cotton. Fearne Cotton is obviously a British icon, a TV presenter. Most of you will know her from Top of the Pops, but she has a wonderful brand called Happy Place, which is all about well-being. And myself and Fearne, kind of pre-pandemic, we got to know one another. We worked with one another, and then pandemic kind of hit, and it was like, oh, we need to do more work together. We really gel and we really get on with one another. And she was like, hey, do you want to write a book? And I was like, hey, that's a scary prospect, but you don't say no to Fearne Cotton. So the book is out now. It's a lovely summer read. It's a memoir, but it's a book about development. It's a book about disability. It's a book about womanhood. It's a book about messing up. It's a book about saying that you might look at someone like me and have preconceptions, whether that is preconceptions about me having a disability or preconceptions because I'm on TV and my life looks perfect, So it's a book about me saying, right, I've had all these wonderful lived experiences, some of them being wonderful, some of them being not so wonderful, as you can imagine, which is what we're going to talk about, I suppose, a little bit later on. But what have I learned from these experiences? What do I want other people to take away? And hopefully they will have a good giggle. I think that's what everyone says. It's like, my goodness, you made me laugh and wet my knickers a little bit. So that's what any author wants.
You could ask for more.
If you pee in your knickers a little bit from reading a book while you're on holiday in your bikini, that's okay because you just jump back into the pool. That's what I said.
Yeah, no one's going to notice. I was just going to ask you quickly, you talked about your disability there. Can you tell us a bit about, I know you've got some preferred terms that you prefer people to use when talking about you. I mean, fundamentally, you are Samantha, so you don't really need that label of disability, but just in terms of clarifying some points around that.
So I was born with quite a rare genetic disorder called osteogenesis imperfecta. Still can't spell it to save my life, which is a good thing that they've got like an abbreviation, a more kind of well-known term, which is brittle bone disease. But to be quite honest with you, I don't like the word disease. I don't know, it just sounds a bit like, oh, can you catch something from me? You absolutely cannot catch brittle bones. You might be able to catch, herpes from me if you give me a kiss every now and again. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, not because I've been a big kisser all my life. But I think when I was 13, I got sunburn on my lips, and all of a sudden got herpes. So yeah, I'm not a kissing slut. I am just someone that didn't wear sunscreen. So yes, I prefer the word condition, brittle bone condition. But basically, it is a collagen deficiency. I don't have type 1 collagen in my body, and collagen can be found throughout your body. As humans, we've got all different types of collagen. But type 1 is the one that's like the most important, I suppose. And we call it brittle bones because your skeleton is made up of, collagen and the marrow and so forth. And that's why we fracture quite easily. I've had about 200 broken bones. When I was a baby, I got carried around on a pillow. No wonder I'm a bit of a prima donna now. So yeah, but collagen's in our hair, it's in our nails, it's in our joints. That's why I've got quite bendy joints. Which isn't always a bad thing, but with this, we'll probably leave that for a late night show. Yep. And yeah, I mean, I'm a full-time wheelchair user, and I just need to kind of, as most disabled people, we need to navigate the world in our own individual way and just be, jumping over all these rubbishy barriers that are constantly thrown at us.
Mm. Yeah, it's glad you brought up the book as well, Samantha, because I mean, as is obvious to anyone that's ever seen you as well, you always come across a very bubbly, very positive person. But in the book, you sort of cover a little bit of another side to that. Just what thought it'd be good to explore some of those other aspects of sort of like how has disability sort of impacted you in your life?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the thing is, and this is why I kind of wanted to always, irrespective of the work that I've done with Fearne, and this opportunity came about very organically, and it was great, but it was that kind of nudge that I needed. But I think I always wanted to share my story. I talk a lot about inspiration porn and how I experienced that growing up, like people going, oh, you're so inspirational, you're great. And I kind of used to see it as a compliment. I was always that bubbly child. I was that kind of quite annoying child that you're like, okay, shut up now. I always had that innate sense of confidence. And I think, over the years, when I became more aware of my uniqueness, I suppose, my disability, and I understood that, a disabled child is quite palatable and people find them quite cute. A disabled adolescent, not so much, and a disabled adult, no one really cares, and that's very much the journey that many disabled people, particularly when you've had a disability from birth or early on, you see that shift all of a sudden. You get so much attention, whether it's pity or patronizing. You don't necessarily identify that straight away. You just see it as attention, and then all of a sudden you hit 18 and it's like, no, computer says no, we don't, you're a burden, you're a drain on society, and kind of that flip. And I found that, to be quite honest with you, that change, that stark contrast, I found that really, really difficult, particularly now. I'm 36 now, and I think, kind of realizing that there's so little resources out there for adults with disabilities. There's such less empathy out there. So this is why I do talk a lot about, inspiration porn and kind of how we need to be very, very conscious of how we interact with disabled people. Disabled people don't just want allies. We don't want tokenism. We don't want, these kind of, oh, aren't you inspirational? These words that really are meaningless. Just often they're there to objectify disabled people and make them, kind of make non-disabled people feel better about their lives, and then kind of walk away from that individual and go, well, yeah, I've done my good deed for today. I've done my little, kind of they're disabled person, and then that be the end of it. And I think what disabled people really want are advocates. Of course we want allies. We want, you to stand next to us, but we also want tangible, outcomes. We want you to fight for our rights. I want my non-disabled colleagues and friends to actually listen to what I'm saying, believe what I'm saying and fight for my rights and recognize the injustice of a disabling world, you know. And I think I have always been innate. I have always been bubbly. I think that's just who I am. But that doesn't mean that I don't have I'm a human being, you know. It doesn't mean that I don't have my days where I feel rubbish. You know, I'm on my period today and I felt like crap this morning. You know, yes, shock horror, disabled people get periods too, you know. And I want to stab someone in the eye with a fork, you know what I mean? Like, this is just normal. And I wanted that to come across in the book, because disabled people are often othered and marginalized because we are so far removed from human beings, because we are either, you know, pigeonholed as benefit scroungers. Just want to say that there's no shame in being on benefits. I'm on benefits. If we need the assistance, bloody go for it, you know. Like, if you're entitled to it, go for it. Just want to put that out there. No shame at whatsoever. And then, you know, the opposite side, we've got these Paralympic kind of images. Again, not dissing any Paralympians. I think you're incredible human beings. A lot of my friends are Paralympians, but it's kind of like, well, what does the average Joe do? You know, what if the average person, where do we come into it? We're just normal human beings. And I'm very conscious that, you know, even me, I perpetuate that that image of inspiration because I'm a public figure and I'm on television, and I am conscious that, you know, other disabled people get recognized, particularly other people with brittle bones, because we can have a look about us. I mean, I hate that anyway, because it's a bit like, you're disabled, you're the same disabled person. Yes, you are. It really annoys me. Yeah. But that happens. But I'm very conscious that, you know, I get messages all the time from other females with brittle bones. And it's so funny because some of us just don't look alike at all. Like, you know what I mean? At all. And I'm like, wow. But they get people going, are you the girl from the telly? Are you the girl from the Malteser? So I'm very conscious that even I feed into this narrative of, you know, inspiration. But I just need to, you know, that's why I continue to do my advocacy and my activism, because I chose this career because I wanted the career in media. I didn't do it for that recognition. I didn't do it for, you know, to be this inspiration to others. I did it because I've always been confident. I always loved drama at school, and that was a natural, you know, kind of route for me. But I am also mindful that it's not my problem to bear. It is actually educating the non-disabled world that actually disabled people are humans, and we can choose whatever career path we want, and we shouldn't be judged for that, and we shouldn't be objectified for that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. In the same way as all of the positive aspects, and can there almost be a bit of a backlash then, where people are seeing that sort of seeing disability and not actually seeing the person?
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is why I think I wrote the book, because I'm not very great at social media. I don't particularly like it. It doesn't come naturally to me, but it's like, you know, it's the it's something I have to do because it's part and parcel of the world. So I try and always be very authentic on that. I try and give a balanced approach online. But, you know, I think it's so tricky because disabled people have a lot. It's like this, you know, being an activist fatigue. We've got a lot on our shoulders. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, you know. And the thing is, you know, disabled people, our lived experience is so, you know, so different. What's that expression? If you've met one disabled person, you've met one disabled person. And I think it's, you know, I think this is why I've gravitated more to the training. I used to be a school teacher. So, you know, I am qualified to teach people, and I do a lot of consultancy work. And I think this is where I really find my footing, because I do get to share my lived experience, but I go beyond that because I get to be a voice for other disabled people. And I do that by engaging with my community, you know, and letting them tell me how their lived experience has impacted them and how they view the disabling world, you know. So, but it's really it is a challenge, and I do struggle sometimes. So I hope that this book, you know, I hope this book is inspirational to people across the board. I hope that disabled people relate to it and it can resonate with them, you know. And then there'll be some disabled people that'll be like, nah, what's she going on about? Just don't get it, you know. But I want my own non-disabled peers to be like, all right, I've learned a bit about disability, but actually I've also learned what to do when a relationship fails, what to do when things don't go my own way. I also learn, like how to get to where you want to be and how to set boundaries and so forth. So yeah, it's a good all-rounder, and it was very cathartic for me to write. Because it actually, when I was writing things about grief and things about, I even touch upon sexual assault in the book and all sorts of things, and it was a moment where I was like, wow, so actually I behaved that way because of my internalized ableism. Didn't know that until I've now put it down on paper. Or part of my success is due to the fact that I wanted to prove the world wrong. So it's been such a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Samantha, I'm just going to move us on a bit. I'm actually going to steal one of Dan's questions here, but we were catching it the other day, and we were talking about when people get it right in terms of that shopping experience and allies and stuff. And you were talking about Westfields and going shopping, which we all love. Absolutely. Can you talk us through what happened in that particular example? You know the one I mean, don't you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, obviously, as we know, disabled people can be discriminated against on the 3 levels. So physical barriers. So for me as a wheelchair user, no step-free access or kind of lifts that are broken, and then communication and information. So how we receive that. So, someone with learning disabilities might not get enough time with their GP to be able to express themselves properly. And then obviously attitudinal barriers. And that's a big one for me. We've already touched upon inspiration porn. And that's one that I'm just like, wow, it's, we've all guilty of unconscious bias. But, I think a good practice, it's always important to highlight the barriers, but it's important to highlight good practice, because we're all on this journey together. That's what allyship and advocacy is all about. And I love shopping. And one of the things that I like to do, because I'm often reliant on other people, so I have a PA, I struggle to go out independently. I have a hidden disability. I battle with anxiety and PTSD from medical trauma. But one thing that I feel that I can do independently is go to Westfield Centre, which is a big shopping centre, and I can do that on my own. And getting into an accessible taxi, I know where the drop-off point is, I know where the toilets are, I know it's all flat, I know it's great. But then sometimes, even within this safe space, so to speak, I do see barriers. I know a lot of the shops had refurbishments, but then they still had the tools incredibly high. It's like, blows my mind. It's like you just spent thousands on like refurbishing. So, it always strikes me when I see good customer service. And one experience was in, I believe it was New Look, a fashion shop. And you know what it's like, you've got like, you see loads of things you like pile them up. And I was trying to pile them up onto my lap. And I think things were getting caught, or I was dropping things. And one of the ladies, the what do you call them? What are the
shop assistant?
Shop assistants. There we go. I had the German word in my head. I was like, no, that's not the British word. One of the shop assistant came over, and there was no kind of fuss. There was no, rushing over like help the disabled person. It was just a very simple. She was probably, only young. Just came over. She was like, do you know what? Great, give me them, and I'll put them behind the till. And when you want them, they're there. There was no fuss. There was no, are you okay? No patronizing tones, which we often get. There was her. She saw me. Some people may say, oh, why should she assume because I'm disabled I need help? But, literally, I could barely see over over the pile of clothes. Like that was, I think she would have helped anybody in that situation, if a mother was there with a pram trying to pile it onto her. So it was just a very genuine interaction. She preempted my needs. She did it in a no-fuss way. She did it in a respectful way. And it was great. And I just thought, gosh, that is good customer service. And you had that sense of she's either had good training, or she probably has someone in her family with a disability. I normally get that sense from people because they get it spot on.
Yeah, that personable thing rather than prescriptive and just actually coming and doing something helpful rather than.
Exactly. And I thought, as you can imagine, I'm always the sort of person that goes, oh, you come and help me. I rely on people for help. I have no shame about it. I feel comfortable and competent asking for help, but I appreciate not everyone does. you know, we're all on our journey, and some people may, you know, be new to their disabled body and may feel like they don't want the help or need the help or feel comfortable asking. So I think, you know, again, it's about compromise. It's about, you know, assessing a situation and respecting that individual. And I think that is what it comes down to. And I, you know, whenever I deliver my own training, I say, and it might not always be how everyone would go about this, but, you know, to be kind, like just to be kind to anyone. We should all be offering help to one another. But it's about listening to the response. It's about listening to what that individual says. And if they say, no, I'm fine, then you respect that. And I think that's sometimes where the frustration and the anger and the upset may occur, is because, you know, disabled people are often not listened to. And it's the assumption that assumption by the non-disabled person that they don't have the ability to make decisions for themselves. So even though they say no, they're going to help anyway.
Yeah. Sam, we're running out of time, which is not a surprise. We knew this would happen. So I've just got one more question for you, and I kind of need a brief answer, which I feel really bad about, but I'm going to go for it. So one piece of advice that's had a big impact on your life, and I know you shared with me a particular example of your sister, and again, as quick as we can, because we need, I'm getting nagged. Yeah.
I know, sorry. So yeah, absolutely, and I go into this in my book as well, so you can absolutely read the full story. But I think, like everyone, I had moments in my life, particularly as a teenager, where I didn't like my disabled body. I didn't like looking in the mirror, and my self-esteem was low. And I was, you know, on a shopping spree to a lovely IKEA, and this moment when I was in a very dark place in my life, you know, I felt all the eyes burning on me, and people stare at me because I do look different, and I hated it. And I came out of the shop and I burst into tears. And my sister, who, God bless her, she's not the best at putting fashion together. She knelt down next to me. She went, "Do you know what, Sam? Maybe they're staring at you because how you look is impeccable. What you're wearing is impeccable. You look fierce." And I'd never seen the world like that before. I assumed everyone was, you know, looking at me because of my disability. And I just want everyone to take away that actually, you know what, you radiate beauty no matter who you are. And I think that's really important. And even now when people stare at me, they might be staring at me because they're ignorant and rude, but they might be staring at me because they actually want to know where my lipstick's from.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. We're just going to do a quick roundup of where we can find you online, Samantha. And where we can get your book from, of course, as well.
Yeah, so obviously Amazon, all the good book retailers. So it's in hard copy. It's for $14.99. I have just recorded an audio copy as well, so all that's going to be available. And yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. I'm not on TikTok, don't get me on there yet, but Samantha Renke, yeah. Or you can head over to my official fun page, website, which is samantharenkeofficial.com.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
That's amazing. I was going to say, this is Dan and I doing the thing at the same time again, isn't it? So, Samantha, thank you so much. An absolute pleasure. We're delighted to have you with us today to share those insights. We could have gone on for another hour, I think.
Oh, thank you. I remember you are the best thing since sliced bread.
We all are, aren't we, darling? Yeah. Thank you ever so much. You take care. And thank you for listening, everyone, or watching if you're on the website. You take care, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Cheers,
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. You can find future episodes on major streaming platforms. Search Business Disability Forum or at businessdisabilityforum.org.uk and search podcasts. You can also watch the series on our YouTube channel. Search for Business Disability Forum. Please do share and leave us a rating. Business Disability Forum is the leading business membership organisation in disability inclusion. We work in partnership with business, government and disabled people to remove barriers to inclusion. businessdisabilityforum.org.uk